Start your day in calm, stoic mindset. There is a war happening every single morning. Not outside. Not in the world. But inside you. The moment your eyes open, your mind is already under attack. Notifications. Noise. Obligations. The weight of yesterday. The fear of tomorrow. And most people, before their feet even touch the floor, have already surrendered. They grab their phone. They scroll. They react. They let the world set the tone before they ever had a chance to set it themselves. But you are not most people. That's why you're here. Today, we are going to walk through something the ancient Stoics practiced every single morning, a ritual, a discipline, a philosophy, that allowed men like Marcus Aurelius to rule an empire without losing his mind, his character, or his soul. This is not a motivational video. This is not about feeling good for the next 10 minutes and then going back to the chaos. This is about building an inner fortress. A calm so deep, so unshakable, that no storm, no person, no failure, no setback, can move you from your foundation. Stay with me. Because what we're about to cover might be the most important thing you hear all week. And before we go any further, if this kind of content speaks to you, I want you to hit that subscribe button right now. Because every single week, I bring you the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, translated into practical tools you can use today. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and let's build this together. Part 1. Why your morning defines your entire day. The Stoics understood something modern science is only now confirming. Your first hour shapes your entire day. Not because of some mystical force, but because of psychology. Because of momentum. Because of the way the human nervous system works. When you wake up and immediately reach for your phone, you put your brain into a reactive state. You start processing other people's problems, other people's opinions, other people's agendas, before you've had a single thought of your own. And here is the dangerous part. Once your brain is in that reactive state, it is extraordinarily hard to pull it back out. This is why so many people feel scattered by noon, overwhelmed by 2, exhausted and emotionally drained by 6, even on days when nothing particularly bad happened. It's not the day that broke them. It's the morning. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, a book he never intended anyone else to read, a book he wrote purely to discipline himself. He wrote these words. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. Now pause. That sounds harsh, doesn't it? Almost cynical. But read the rest of what he said. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good, and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. Do you understand what he was doing there? He wasn't starting his day with bitterness. He was starting it with preparation, with perspective, with compassion rooted in truth rather than illusion. He was saying, I know the world is difficult. I know people will test me. And I am ready. I will not be surprised. I will not be broken. Because I have already accepted this. That is Stoic morning preparation. And it begins long before anything else happens. The Stoics called this practice premeditation malorum, the premeditation of evils. The deliberate, calm, early morning consideration of what challenges might arise so that when they do, you are not reactive. You are prepared. Not pessimistic. Not defeated before you begin. But ready. Clear. Calm. This single practice alone, this 5-minute mental exercise every morning, can change the entire texture of your day. We'll talk about exactly how to do it. But first, I need you to understand why calm is not weakness. Part 2. The strength inside stillness. We live in a culture that glorifies reaction. Outrage gets clicks. Drama gets views. The loudest person in the room gets attention. And so we've been conditioned, subtly, constantly, to believe that intensity equals strength. That the person who feels the most, who reacts the fastest, who expresses emotions the loudest, is somehow more alive, more powerful, The Stoics thought the opposite. They believed that the person who reacts the most is, in truth, the weakest. Because they are enslaved. Every emotion, every external event, every harsh word from a stranger, it all pulls them like a puppet on a string. But the person who can pause, who can breathe, who can choose their response rather than be ruled by their reaction, that person is free. Epictetus knew this better than anyone. Epictetus was a slave. Literally. He was owned by a man who was cruel and violent. He had no rights. No freedom in the conventional sense. His master once twisted his leg, deliberately, cruelly, to break it. And Epictetus said quietly, "You will break it." The man broke his leg. And Epictetus said, "Did I not tell you that you would break it?" No screaming. No begging. No collapse into despair. Because Epictetus had understood something that no master could take from him. The only thing truly his was his own mind. His own will. His own response. And when you understand that, truly understand it, not just intellectually but in your bones, you become unbreakable. Not because nothing hurts you, but because the things that happen to you no longer define you. This is the calm the Stoics were after. Not the absence of feeling. Not numbness. Not indifference. But a deep, settled, rooted steadiness. Like a great oak in a storm. The branches move. The leaves shake. But the roots hold. And here is the beautiful truth that most people miss. That kind of calm is not passive. It is aggressive. It is disciplined. It is the result of daily, intentional practice. It does not happen by accident. It is built. Every morning. One choice at a time. So let's talk about how to build it. Part 3. The Stoic Morning Ritual, Step by Step. This is the practical heart of everything we've been building toward. The ancient Stoics didn't just philosophize. They practiced. Every single day. They had specific rituals, morning routines, evening reviews, breathing exercises, journaling practices, that kept their philosophy alive not just in their heads but in their bodies, their habits, their lives. Here is how to start your day the Stoic way. Step 1. Wake with intention, not urgency. The moment the alarm goes off, do not reach for your phone. I know. You've heard this before. But hear it from the Stoic perspective. When you grab your phone, you are handing the keys of your consciousness to someone else. You are saying, whatever the world throws at me first, that will set my tone. Instead, and this takes practice, instead, before you move, before you speak, before you open an app, breathe. Take 3 long, slow, deliberate breaths. In through the nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Out through the mouth for 6. This is not a spiritual ritual. This is physiology. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system. It sends a signal to your brain that you are safe, that you are present, that you are in control. It takes under 90 seconds. And it changes everything that follows. Step 2. The morning statement. Marcus Aurelius began each day with a statement. A reminder of what the day would likely hold. You are going to write yours. Not a generic affirmation. Not, "I am successful and powerful." Those are fantasies. A Stoic morning statement is grounded in reality and rooted in values. It sounds like this. Today will be difficult. I will face frustration, interruption, and disappointment. People will be unkind. Plans will fail. And none of that will define me. I choose how I respond. I choose my values. I choose my effort. That is enough. Write your own version. Keep it honest. Keep it grounded. And read it every morning before you do anything else. Over time, this statement rewires your expectations. You stop being surprised by difficulty. You start meeting it like an old, familiar challenge, one you've already decided not to let defeat you. Step 3. Take 2 minutes. Just 2. And ask yourself, what is the most likely challenge I will face today? Not catastrophizing. Not spiraling into worst-case fantasies. Just honest, clear-eyed consideration. Maybe it's a difficult conversation with a coworker. Maybe it's a meeting that might not go well. Maybe it's a task you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a person in your life who drains you. Whatever it is, see it. Name it. And then ask, if this happens, how will I respond in a way I am proud of? That's it. You're not solving it yet. You're just preparing. You're robbing it of its power to surprise you. Because the Stoics knew, events don't hurt us. The gap between our expectations and reality does. Close the gap in the morning, and the day becomes far less painful. Step 4. The body is the anchor. The Stoics were not just philosophers. They were physically disciplined. Seneca wrote about the importance of caring for the body, not for vanity, but for clarity. Because the mind lives in the body. And a sluggish, neglected body breeds a foggy, reactive mind. You don't need an hour in the gym. You don't need a perfect routine. But you need something physical in your morning. Walk outside for 10 minutes. Do 20 push-ups. Stretch for 5 minutes. Something that says to your body, we are awake, we are engaged, we are here. And if you can do it outside, even better. Sunlight in the first 30 minutes of waking has a measurable effect on cortisol regulation, mood stability, and sleep quality later that night. The Stoics called this caring for the vessel. The body is the vehicle through which you live your philosophy. Keep it ready. Step 5. Journaling, the most powerful Stoic practice. This is perhaps the most underrated practice in the modern world. Marcus Aurelius journaled every day. What we call the Meditations was his journal, notes to himself, reminders, self-corrections. He was the most powerful man in the known world, and he wrote to himself every morning to stay humble, clear, and grounded. Your journaling practice doesn't need to be elaborate. 3 questions. Every morning. 1. What am I grateful for today? This is not a cliché. Gratitude literally shifts your neural baseline. It pulls your attention from scarcity to sufficiency. Stoics called this negative visualization, the awareness of what you have before it's gone. 2. What is within my control today? Write it down. The actions you can take. The effort you can give. The attitude you can maintain. Everything else, other people's behavior, outcomes, the weather, let it go. It is not yours to control. 3. What would the best version of me do today? Not a perfect version. Not an ideal fantasy. The best version of you, the one who is a little more patient, a little more focused, a little more courageous than yesterday. What would that person do today? Write these answers. By hand if possible. There is something about the physical act of writing that makes the thoughts more real, more committed, more yours. This practice takes 7 minutes. Maybe 10. It is the best investment of your morning. Part 4. The enemies of calm, and how to defeat them. Understanding what destroys calm is just as important as building it. The Stoics identified 4 primary passions, not emotions, but passions in the sense of things that overwhelm reason, that tear a person away from their natural state of calm. These were desire, fear, pleasure, and pain. In modern language, they look like this. Craving, wanting what you don't have so badly that the wanting itself poisons your present moment. You're scrolling social media comparing your life. You're obsessing over a goal not yet reached. You're living in a future you haven't earned yet. Fear, the anticipation of loss or pain that is usually far worse than the thing itself. You lie awake imagining disasters. You avoid conversations that need to happen. You hold back from risks because the fear of failure is louder than the pull of possibility. Pleasure-seeking, not pleasure itself, which is fine and human, but the compulsive chasing of it. The endless snacking. The hours of mindless content. The dopamine loop that leaves you full but empty. Epictetus said, the undisciplined person is a slave to their appetites. Avoidance of pain, running from difficulty so consistently that you never develop the strength to face it. Every challenge avoided is a muscle left unbuilt. The Stoic solution to all 4 is the same: return to what is real, what is present, and what is within your control. When the craving rises, pause. Ask, is this something I actually need? Or is it my mind running ahead of reality? When the fear rises, pause. Ask, is this danger actual or imagined? And if it were real, could I survive it? Almost always, the answer is yes. When the pleasure-seeking pulls you, pause. Ask, what would I rather have, this moment of comfort, or the person I am building myself into? When you want to avoid the pain, pause. Ask, what is this difficulty trying to teach me? What would I become if I walked through it instead of around it? The pause. The breath. The question. That is the entire practice, distilled. Part 5. Calm is a choice you make all day long. Here is something the popular version of Stoicism often gets wrong. People think Stoicism is about the morning, the ritual, the philosophy, the quotes. But the real practice happens in the small, invisible moments all day long. It happens when someone cuts you off in traffic and your hands tighten on the wheel. It happens when a colleague says something dismissive in a meeting and your jaw clenches. It happens when a plan falls apart and the voice in your head starts catastrophizing. It happens when you are tired, hungry, overwhelmed, and everything feels heavier than it is. Those moments. That's where Stoicism lives or dies. And the Stoics had a practice for this too. They called it prosoche, attention to the self. Constant, vigilant, non-judgmental awareness of your own inner state. Not beating yourself up when you slip, but noticing. Always noticing. Because you cannot change what you cannot see. When you feel the reaction rising, the anger, the anxiety, the impatience, the practice is not to suppress it. That doesn't work. You know that. The practice is to observe it. To say, internally, there is anger arising. That is interesting. What is it telling me? And is reacting from it going to serve me? Most of the time, the answer is no. And in that gap, between stimulus and response, you find your freedom. Viktor Frankl, who survived the Nazi concentration camps, wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." He didn't know the Stoics called it the same thing. He just learned it, like Epictetus, in the hardest possible school. You don't have to learn it that way. You can practice it now. In traffic. In meetings. In difficult conversations. In the quiet moments when no one is watching. Part 6. The Evening Review, Completing the Cycle. The Stoic day doesn't end when you put your work down. It ends with a review. Seneca wrote, "I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by." Every evening, 5 minutes, no more, ask yourself 3 questions. What went well today? Not for ego, but for reinforcement. You did things right. You chose patience when you could have chosen anger. You did the work when you could have avoided it. Name it. Own it. Let it build the belief that you are capable of doing it again tomorrow. Where did I fall short? Without shame. Without self-punishment. Just honest accounting. Where did I react when I could have responded? Where did I let fear make my decisions? Where did I drift from my values? And then, and this is crucial, ask, what would I do differently? Not as punishment. As preparation. You are already planning the better response for next time. What am I letting go of tonight? The Stoics understood that carrying yesterday's burdens into tomorrow is a choice. Sleep is not just rest for the body. It is release for the mind. Identify one thing, one worry, one regret, one unresolved tension, and consciously, deliberately, let it go before you close your eyes. You cannot fix it tonight. You can choose not to carry it through your sleep and into your morning. This is the closing of the Stoic day. What opened in intention ends in reflection. And the cycle begins again. Part 7. Building this into a life. I want to be honest with you. Everything I've shared today sounds clear. Logical. Simple. And it is. But simple is not the same as easy. Because the world will push back. Old habits will push back. Your own mind will push back. There will be mornings you skip the ritual. Days you react instead of respond. Evenings you're too tired to review. And the Stoic response to that is not self-flagellation. Not guilt. Not giving up. It is return. Always return. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, the philosopher, the man we hold up as the pinnacle of Stoic practice, he wrote in his journal again and again about how he kept failing. How he kept falling short of his own standards. How he had to keep reminding himself of the same lessons. He wasn't failing as a Stoic. He was practicing. The practice is the return. The practice is the choosing, again, to be better than yesterday. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, said, "Man conquers the world by conquering himself." Not once. Not in a single morning of clarity. But every day. In 1,000 small choices. In the pause before the reaction. In the journal page written before the sun rises. In the breath taken before the difficult conversation. That is the life. And it is a beautiful one. We've covered a lot of ground today. The science of why your morning matters. The Stoic concept of prepared expectations. The morning ritual, the breath, the statement, the premeditation, the body, the journal. The 4 enemies of calm. The practice of prosogue throughout your day. And the evening review that closes the cycle. This is not information. This is a system. A way of living. And it works. Not because I say so. But because it has worked for 2,000 years, for people facing challenges far greater than anything most of us will ever face. If you want to go deeper into Stoic philosophy, if you want more of this, more practical wisdom from Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and others, I need you to do one thing. Subscribe to this channel. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notification bell. Because every week, I bring you the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, translated into real, practical tools for real, modern life. This community is for people who are serious. People who are tired of the noise and want something deeper. People who are ready to build the kind of inner life that cannot be shaken. That's who this is for. If that's you, you're home. Subscribe. Share this video with someone who needs it. Leave a comment below and tell me, what's the one thing from today that hit hardest? I read every single one. Thank you for being here. For taking this seriously. For doing the work. Now go start your day in calm.